forward. All right, welcome everyone. We're going to start seated, going through a brief meditation into our seated stretching and then into our more dynamic postures of the practice. So having a seat, I do recommend sitting up on something so that you can easily sit tall, right? Sitting with a nice tall spine can be challenging if our bum is on the floor, so feel free to lift the ground up towards your bum a little bit, right? It makes it a lot easier to have that nice long spine. Shoulders are relaxed. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can do that. If you'd rather keep your eyes open, just choose an unmoving point about 6 to 8 feet out in front of you so that you're not getting too much visual stimulation. And beginning to draw the awareness inward towards the breath. And you might notice other parts of you vying for your attention. You might have a physical sensation or a thought or a feeling. And you don't need to ignore those things. You can turn your attention towards them, give them their due, and then let them go, and then return attention to breath, right? So we can tend to these parts of ourselves. We have that capacity. And really our practice of meditation is just returning the attention to the breath again and again and again and again. That's the practice. Simply being able to notice when the mind has wandered is a great skill. Allow the eyes to flutter open if they're closed. Wonderful. Arriving back in the room. Well done, everyone. Another helpful thing about meditation is to also just see what you're working with for your practice, right? We can do the same thing on the boat. A lot of times I equate meditation within our yoga practice to the paddle out to the lighthouse. So most coaches, I know a lot of coaches for Dragonheart, and I do this with fire, we take them out to the lighthouse, right? And we kind of slowly bring them into the boat. So all the paddlers, we leave everything behind that may have happened during the workday, family stuff, everything gets left out of the boat. And we start to focus the attention just in the boat, in the body, within the stroke, communing with the water, right? So I like to think about meditation in this practice similar to that. And that time also is when you notice what kind of energy are you working with? How does the body feel, right? So a lot of it is simply a check-in. It's not really about clearing the mind or not having any thoughts, but more just being aware of how are you feeling today, right? What kind of energy are you bringing into the practice today, whether that's your yoga practice or your paddle practice, right? So just really helpful information. All right, let's do a little stretching. So taking the hands, interlacing fingers, we're gonna reach up over the head, bicep framing the ears best we can, right? Elbows straight-ish, right? A lot of ishes in our practice. Things don't need to be perfect, right? We're just bringing in this intention and this energy. And while you're up here, you can sway a little if that feels good for you. You don't have to stay totally still. Reaching up, rib cage separating away from the pelvis, and then finding the breath. Big breaths here, full inhales, full exhales, and really getting rid of all that CO2 that might be just kind of hanging out in the bottom of the belly. Totally exhaling so that fresh air can get in. Nice. Releasing the hands down by your sides, nice and slow. And then interlacing the fingers behind you or grabbing onto an opposite wrist. You don't have to interlace fingers. And then opening the chest. So the shoulder blades come together as the pecs and front shoulders open. You might rock the pelvis forward so that the ribs are sort of jutting out in front, getting that curve in the spine. If your fingers are interlaced, think about pressing the palms together as you really actively reach back with the fists. Getting this sensation of sort of pulling the chest open. And a few big breaths, noticing where the breath goes when we change the shape of the body, right? Good. Releasing the grip. Arms come out in front. We're going to crisscross at the wrists so that thumbs are pointed down, pinkies are up. Interlace the fingers once again. And this time rounding through the spine. Chin falls to the chest, reaching out towards the front of the room, separating the shoulder blades. Good. Head hangs heavy. Slight tuck to the pelvis. Yeah, rounding the back. Good. And then breathing deeply. Nice. Returning to neutral spine, lifting the right arm up and then over into a lateral bend. And if you feel as though you're sort of caving in, lift the gaze so that you're looking up past the elbow, almost like you're trying to look behind you. And this will assist you in keeping good posture while we're here. Yeah, good. And then breathing into this shape. And slowly sweeping the arm through center and down and changing sides. I like to think about the breath, especially in the beginning of the practice, as similar to in springtime when we get that first warmer day and we open up all the windows of the house and this breeze comes through the house and you can just feel that it's sort of making everything less stuffy, right? It's getting out all this stagnant air. It's whipping up into the corners and revealing any dust bunnies, right? And you can think about the breath the same way, right? So as we enter into these different shapes, the breath can go into all these different nooks and crannies in the body. Slowly coming through center. Good. We'll take that same hand on the left side around to the outside of the thigh, getting a little leverage. First, really lift the chest, get long through the spine, and then coming into a twist. And then find the breath once again. Proper breathing, especially in the beginning of a workout, during a dynamic warm-up, or our yoga practice, it really preps the body for what's to come, right? So it's bringing oxygen to the muscles and to the brain. Yeah, slowly through center, changing sides, nice and easy. And in the flow that we do here in Poga, where we are doing a lot of matching the breath with the movement, this too is a skill that we carry into our paddling, right? So we inhale to the catch, exhale as we press through the water, right? And that rhythm of breath, right, syncs up the boat, right? Syncs up our movement. Good, moving easy through center, wonderful. And let's remove the block, coming into tabletop position. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips, creating the best right angles that we can. Best as we can. And we'll do some cat and cowing here. It's an inhale to lift the hips, drop the belly, and open the chest. Look up. And then exhale to tuck the pelvis under, round the spine, chin to chest, press the floor away. Continue using the rhythm of your own breath, inhaling to extend, and exhaling to flex and round the spine. As we've got our cow pose as we look up, and our cat pose as we round. And one more full in breath and full out breath. And we'll meet in a neutral spine. And back to center. Nice. Let's do a little bit of twisting. On an inhale, the right arm reaches high. Look up. Exhale to reach the arm through. Good. Inhale to reach high. And exhale to reach through. Continue using the breath to guide you. Bringing in mobility and heating up the thoracic spine. Moving that shoulder blade. So instead of thinking about the arm moving around, notice what's happening in the upper back. Shoulder blade moves in towards the spine as you inhale, and then away from the spine as you exhale. One final full breath in and out, and then we'll all meet in neutral, back in our tabletop. Nice. So then as you're ready, changing sides. One more full in breath, full out breath. And we'll meet in tabletop. Good. Bring the toes together and the knees wide. And sit the hips all the way back to the heels. We'll rest the head down on the mat. And if the head does not comfortably rest, you can make a little pillow with your fists or use your block under the forehead. So we have this deep flexion in the knees and the hips. Right? And your bum doesn't need to touch your heels or anything like that. You're just bending the knees and the hips as much as your body accommodates, right? Not pain, right? A stretch, but not pain. If we feel pain, we gently move back to discomfort, right? Discomfort is okay, but no pain. Good. Rising back into your table. Hands come back underneath the shoulders and knees come back in underneath the hips. We're going to thread the needle now. Taking the right hand, we're going to reach underneath us and drop the shoulder to the floor and the head to the floor. And once we're here, we're going to take the left hand and reach up over the head. And there's pressure in that left hand, a little bit of pressure, not too much, but a little bit of pressure here. And then find the breath. And if your head is really far from the mat, again, use that block to rest underneath the head so that your head feels supported. Good. Bringing the left hand back in front of the face and then push up through that left hand back to table. Yeah, and then change sides, reaching through. And then the right hand comes up and over. You might even tent the fingertips of the hand, right? So that just means just the fingertips are down, not the whole palm. As you're looking under the armpits. And breathing into it. Knowing that all the poses that we take on are temporary, right? So this can help us move into challenging places, knowing that we're not staying forever. Good. Dragging that right hand back in front of the face and then pushing up back to our tabletop. We'll take the hands and move them about a palm length out in front. So we're a little bit longer now. Yes. And as you inhale, you're going to come forward and then drop the hips, lift the gaze, and lift the chest. So we're in a little bit of a back bend here. And then the exhale is going to shift you all the way back to child's. You don't have to rest your head here. We're just moving the hips forward and back. So we've got full extension of the hips at the front and then flexion of the hips at the back. And same with the spine, right? We've got this extension happening in the spine as we come into our back bend, and then flexion of the spine as we sit back into our child's. And you can just keep rocking back and forth using the breath. One thing to keep in mind when you're in that back bend is to push the floor away through the hands so that we're not doing this, right? So we don't want to be shrugging and hanging on the joints, right? You want to push the floor away and squeeze the shoulder blades together as you open the chest. So we're not passive in our back bend. We're pretty active, actually. Nice. Good. And this time, wherever you are, as you pass through table, you can hold your table. And we're going to swing the right leg to 90 degrees. So we're going to bring that right leg out and plant it. Yeah, cool. And then walk your hands towards the body and then up the body until you are upright. If you're feeling a lot of pressure on the knee, take a moment to double your mat up so that you can get as much cushion as you need to so that you can be comfortable. Cool. Lift the left arm up and then lateral bend. Good. And this arm can simply just drape over the leg, right? So same as when we're seating. If you're feeling like you're here, open up and look up past the elbow, like you're trying to almost like lean against the wall behind you with the outside of the arm. And then breathe into this side bend, right? So big opening through the left side of the body. Send the breath. Good. Slowly unwind, lift the arm and lower it down. We'll walk the hands out, knee comes in and change sides. So left leg goes out, plant that foot, walk your hands into upright posture here. Beautiful. The lift of that arm and then the draping over, right? So we just come into this lateral bend, opening up towards the sky. Good. Slowly through center, arm comes down by your side and back to your tabletop position. Nice, everybody. We're going to take the right foot and replace the right hand with the foot and then press up into an upright posture. So we are in basically a 90-90 position here. And in order to come into our next stretch, we're going to take the right knee and we're just going to move it forward. And so what that does is it opens up my back hip as well. This heel stays down, so we've got a stretch perhaps through the soleus and ankle of the right leg, and then definitely through the back hip on the left side. Right side, left side, yeah. All right, awesome. We're going to take the left hand and bring it into a twist. So the outside of the forearm, or top of the forearm, is going to press against the outside of the thigh. Right hand will come to the low back. Nice, yeah, and then looking over the right shoulder. And breathe. Yeah. So a lot of different stretches happening here. Just breathing into wherever you feel sensation and softening where you can, right? So shoulders relax, unclenching the jaw. Nice. Coming out of your twist, hands plant back to your table. And other side. So left foot comes forward. We start in basically about a 90-90 position and then send that left knee forward, opening the back hip. Yep. And then again, coming into that twist, taking your time, thinking length on the inhales, right? So that's length in the spine. Thinking about extending, and then on the exhales, a little bit deeper into the twist. And if you're looking down, lift your chin and look over the back shoulder. Right? Gazing over the back horizon, not at the floor. Slowly shifting through center, hands plant, and back to your table. Nice, everybody. Walking those palms out about a palm length once again. We're going to tuck the toes, lift the hips, coming into our very first downward facing dog. Keeping a bend in the knees, heels off of the floor, and prioritizing the length and extension in the spine. So if we were doing a cat and a cow, you would want to be cowing, right? Not catting. So instead of thinking about rounding through the spine, think about extending the spine, especially through the low back. As you press your chest towards the top of the thighs. Good. Good. Inhale into high plank. Hold that high plank. Option always to drop to the knees if needed. Otherwise, we're creating as straight a line as we can from shoulder, hip, knee to ankle. Squeeze your bum and push the floor away through the hands. Really push that floor away. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. Drop to the knees. Tops of the feet come down. Hug the elbows in. And on your next exhalation, slowly lower down. Hug elbows in, until you touch the floor. Lovely. And from here, we're going to come into a few back bends. We're going to do 3 baby cobras following the breath. So in order to get into this back bend, we are not pushing through the hands. We are squeezing the shoulder blades in and down, and really squeeze your bum here too. So the inhale peels the chest up off the floor, and then exhale down. Here's just a little movement. Inhale, squeeze shoulder blades in and down, lift, and exhale, lower. One more time, inhale, lift, and exhale to lower. Good. Pushing through your tabletop back to downward facing dog. Nice. We're going to make this a little flow. So inhale forward to plank. Exhale, lower down, knees, hug the elbows in all the way to the mat. Back bend on your inhale. And down dog on your exhale. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale to downward facing dog. Nice, everybody. Let's walk the hands all the way to the feet, coming to the top of the mat. And then forward fold once you get there. Completely release the head and the neck. Bend your knees. Do not forward fold with straight knees. Clasping onto opposite elbows, you're going to ragdoll. Your feet are at least as wide as your hips, maybe wider, okay? So feet are not together underneath you. They are wide, at least as wide as your hips. With every exhalation, the top of the head moves closer to the floor. Really release the weight of the upper body. Just let gravity pull you down. From the base of the spine to the top of the head. Good. Releasing at the elbows. We're going to roll up nice and slow. Deep, deep bend in the knees. The knees are going to straighten once you get to the top, right? So do not straighten those knees till your head is lifted and your shoulders are back. Lovely. And here we are, Tadasana. Well done. We made it to standing. Cool. So we're gonna let's warm up the legs a little bit more. And we're gonna practice some hip hinging today. So the inhale brings arms up over the head, and then exhale to sit the hips down and back. So grip down through your toes and really feel your feet, right? So feeling that you have equal weight from inside, outside, the heel, the toes. Nice, yeah. And you can decide how low you want to go, right? We're going to be here for about 4 or 5 breaths more. Just building that heat in the quads. Good. Bracing through the core, so really feeling the abs engage. And you can do this by tucking your ribs down a little bit, so we're not hyperextending through the low back. Yes. Good. It's an inhale to straighten up through the legs, and an exhale to bring arms back down by your sides. So we're going to take a big step back with, let's start with, I don't know how best for you to see me. Maybe I should face you. Or at least be like at an angle. Yeah. I'm at an angle, so right leg. All right, so we'll do left leg back first. Okay. So we're in a long lunge position here. Knee is over the ankle. Back leg is not quite straight. There's a little softness there, but the back heel is up and hands are on the hips, okay? So what we're gonna practice here is a little bit of hip hinging. And the reason, I'm gonna change actually again. The reason why that this is important, especially for our paddling, is because we have to train the body how to come forward without flexing the spine, right? So there's 2 ways that we can come forward. One is flex, right? Which we do not want to do. So how do we get forward if we're thinking about that movement forward as we reach for that catch without the flexion of the spine? It comes from the hinge in the hips, okay? So that is what we're going to practice, and we're going to use the arms a little bit for this as well. So the arms are going to come up over the head. And we've got a lot going on, right? Because we're balancing, right? Yeah, we're making it challenging. So just watch one, and then we're gonna all go into it together. So they're gonna inhale to prepare up here. And then as you exhale, arms come by your side and you hinge forward at the hips, okay? And then inhale high, and then exhale to hinge forward. So what we're doing here at the bottom is we're squeezing the shoulder blades together and opening through the chest, just like that baby cobra that we did, right? So instead of coming forward and rounding the spine into flexion, we're hinging at that hip. And I want you to look out. So you can imagine your drummer at the front of your boat. Look at your drummer as you come forward. Do not look down. Good. 2 more times. Inhale high, exhale low. Inhale high, and then step forward to Tadasana, arms by your sides. Very nice. And we'll do the other side next. Yeah. This is such an important skill because in the paddle stroke, we are twisting and lateral bending, and it is not great for the spine to be in flexion as you are twisting the spine and bending it over to the side. The safest position for the spine to be in is neutral, right? So we are practicing that skill of bending at the hip, just like a deadlift, right? A deadlift, this is also why Brett makes us do so many deadlifts because of this skill. All right, so the right leg is going to take a big step back, left leg is forward, or whatever one you didn't just do. The inhale brings you up high, and the exhale hinges you forward at that hip. Feel this big fold creasing happening right in that hip joint. And you guys can't really see yourselves probably because I'm probably on the screen, but if you were to do this in front of a mirror and the mirror was on the side, at the bottom, there's a straight line, right? From shoulder, hip, knee, right? There's a line here like you're a plank and not here, right? So you're creating this strong, straight line that has a lot of integrity, a lot of stability, where you can optimally move with power and strength. One more full inhale, full exhale. Good, and then on the next exhalation, stepping forward and coming into Tadasana. So we come into our neutral here. Really nice, everybody. All right, cool. We're gonna take a big step into 5-pointed star. So you might want to switch your mat around so that you can see me, so you're not constantly having to turn your head. There's going to be a little bit of head turning no matter what, but all right. So feet are wide, at least 3 feet between the inner edges of the feet. And you're going to turn the toes inward a little bit so that the outer edges of the feet are parallel with the outer edges of the mat. Hand comes to the hip. Cool. So we are going to do a little bit more practice with this hip hinging. Take your right foot and pivot 90 degrees. Good. Actually, let me mirror you. There we go. Cool. So we're going to come into Trikonasana, which is triangle pose. And we're going to do this with an emphasis on the hinge in the front hip. Okay, so we're going to bring the arms up to shoulder height. Yeah, nice. And then this hip is going to move that way, and so is this hip. We're going to reach out over the horizon and then hold. Okay, so this can be soft knee, that's fine. Yeah, so we are in this really deep hinge in the right hip. Okay, and then from here, the arms will come 45 degrees, and here is Trikonasana triangle pose. Okay, you can grab onto your front shin if you want to, or you can just press the top of your hand in. Either way, there's a lot of energy in the fingertips, and you're squeezing your butt really hard. Yeah, equal weight in the feet. Good. So again, this is our spine is straight, right? So we're not actually laterally bending, and we're not curving forward. We are just hinging at the hip, right? Doing our best to keep the neutral spine. And this is hard. It's not easy to stay here, as you might be noticing. All right, push through the feet to rise. Nice, and then bring that foot in, and then the arms can come down for a spell, shake it out, and we'll do other side. Okie dokie, turning left foot out, arms lift. Now the hips are gonna move this way, and we're gonna hinge at that left hip. So we reach, 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 okay? So hopefully you have a big stretch in the hamstring in the front leg, right? Squeezing your bum on the back leg, and then the rotation happens, okay? Yeah, so we're not hanging or flexing. We're doing our best to keep a straight spine, and we're here because of that hip flexion. And then breathe, right? Breathing into this challenge. Nice. All right. Pushing through the feet, we rise to stand, and then bring that foot in. Hands come to the hips. All right, another hip hinge challenge here. I know there's so many. We're going to forward fold. And the first part of the forward fold, we're going to do our best to have it just come from the hips. At the bottom, we'll totally relax. So soften through your knees a little bit. So if your knees are locked out, bring a little bend. Hands on the hips. It's an inhale to open the chest, look up. And then an exhale, hinge through the hips as you keep your chest really open, 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 open. And then when you can not hold anymore without releasing everything, just go ahead and release and relax. So we are in a wide-legged forward fold. When you get down here, you might want to widen out the feet even a little bit more. And when you're at the bottom, you're just totally relaxed. You're not trying to extend the spine or do anything, but do have a little softness in the knees. Yes, so this is the gravity really does so much work here to traction the spine, creating more space through each vertebrae. We're using gravity to our advantage here. Nice. We're gonna halfway lift, which just means that we're gonna look out and so I'll turn to the side here so you can see what I mean. So this is a half lift, right? I'm not all the way up, but I'm not all the way down. I've got my fingertips tented, deep bend in the knees enough so that you can straighten your spine, right? So if your legs are straight, but your back is like this, bend your knees, right? Perfect. Right hand is gonna come to the middle, right under your heart, and the left arm is gonna reach up into a twist, right? So if you don't wanna reach up with a straight arm, bend your arm, it's fine, and just place your hand on your low back or on your hip or something like that. You don't have to have a straight arm, but we are twisting, right? So we are practicing twisting with the spine not flexed, right? So extending, lengthening. And again, we need that bend in the knees most likely in order to have a flat back. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling into a little bit of a deeper twist. Good. When your next exhale comes, use it to lower down, replacing left hand right where the right hand is and coming into twist on the second side. When we think about priorities within these postures, we always think about neutral spine first, right? And then if we're twisting, then the twist comes, right? So length, then twist. Yeah, this is not an easy position to be in. So if you're finding it challenging, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Good. And then lowering down, nice and easy. Ah, nice, nice, nice. Good, deep bend in the knees. We're gonna roll up nice and slow, pushing through the feet, squeezing through the legs to rise, rise, rise. Easy does it. Ah, good, and then we'll top of the mat, back into our mountain pose Tadasana. Nice, nice, nice. Cool. So we're gonna put some things together into some simulation paddling here. Let me just check the time, make sure I got enough time for everything else today. Oh my God, we're really low on time. Okay. Well, we will do our paddle simulation, then we'll just hit the ground and do some other stretching. So for today, we're going to be doing our paddle simulation in a chair pose, which we were in earlier. And the reason I like this one is because it allows for this shift in the hips, right? Which a lot of people in the boat, they get locked in, they don't shift their hips. So then as they're trying to reach for water, there's all this movement in the spine that causes our backs to get stiff and possibly injury. If the more we do it, the heightened the risk is for that injury. So we want to be moving the hips. So you don't have to have a paddle here in order to do paddle simulation. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use my hands. But what I want us to think about is the spine length, right? So we're going to reach out with both arms. First, we are going to rotate through the hips. So if we imagine the water is on the right side of our body, this happens, right? So we're reaching out. And then we are going to, so this is our twist, right? And then the drop into the water happens, which is our lateral bend. And then that pull through the water and back up. So it's kind of like a train a little bit. Don't tell Kristen that because she says don't choo-choo like a train. So we're here, we're gonna reach, lateral bend, pull, and center. Keep the knees bent, reach, that's our twist, lateral bend, pull, and center. Bend knees, reach, lateral bend, pull, and center. 2 more times. So we're really separating out these movements of the spine, right? Twist, bend, and press. Wonderful. Let's do the other side here. So water's on the left side of the body. bend in the knees, twist, drop, that's the lateral bend, pull and up. Twist, drop, pull, and up. Don't forget to breathe as you're doing these. 2 more times. Twist, make sure those hips are really moving. Bend, lateral drop into the water, pull, and up. Last time. Wonderful. Awesome. Little shake out. Nice job. I'm gonna unmute. Oh, I guess I can't unmute you. Okay, that's fine. Never mind. Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end. All right, cool. Let's make our way down to the mat. So starting at the top, it's an inhale to lift the arms up and over. Then an exhale to forward fold. Good. Inhale back to high plank. And exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. It's a back bend on your inhalation. And then child's pose on your exhale. So you can bring your knees wide, toes together, sitting the hips back towards the heels. And just relax here as much as possible. We won't be here for too long, just a few breaths in child's pose. Good, rising back into our table. We'll crisscross at the ankles, pushing back onto the bum, and then lying down on the back. Bringing the right ankle to the top of the left thigh. You can simply push the right knee away from you, creating a stretch through the outside of the hip. If you'd like a little deeper stretch, clasp your hands behind your left hamstring and draw the legs in towards you. And the head stays down. Nice gentle breathing. Good, changing sides, nice and easy. Good, hugging both knees in towards the chest, allowing them to rock to the right side of the body, coming into a supine twist. Arms are out by your sides, palms facing up. You might want to use the right hand to kind of anchor down the top thigh. If it feels like you're going to spring up out of your twist. And do your best to just relax the body, softening the lower leg, the upper leg, softening the low back and the hips. Taking your time, moving through center and changing sides. Just noticing the difference from side to side. No need to try to analyze or fix anything, but just making observations. All good information to have about your body so you can better accommodate it. Really relaxing the lower leg, the upper leg, hips, low back, shoulders, and head. Slowly moving through center and stretching the legs out long. Feet at least as wide as the edges of the mat. Allow the feet to just flop open to the side, arms out by your side. So you're kind of making like one of those chalk outlines at a crime scene. But that is kind of what it is. And this is called corpse pose, right? And the reason that it's called that is because it's to symbolize this surrendering, right? And this complete release of effort. So we shift from a state of doing to a state of just being. You can close your eyes. Becoming aware of gravity. Noticing that pull towards the earth. And letting go of any resistance to that pull. Allowing yourself to be heavy and passive. Even your tongue settles back and down, resting. Allowing the body to breathe itself. Gradually letting go of effort, both within the body and in the mind. Drawing in a deeper breath. Reaching the arms up over the head, big stretch from fingertips to toe tips. And then hugging the knees in once again, rocking onto the right side of the body, fully into the fetal position. And then gently pressing up into a seated position. Your eyes can stay closed or just a soft gaze. Hands resting and taking a moment just to survey your inner landscape, noticing any shifts that may have happened between the beginning of class and now. Perhaps some changes in the body, or maybe the mind, or maybe the breath. And then allowing the eyes to open if they're closed. I end class with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It means peace, peace, peace. And thank you so much, everybody, for practicing today and coming to your Poga. And it is 9:30 on the dot. I'm just going to stop the recording.